friends, Sleepy here. It's Friday. It's time for another episode of the weekly playlist. Now, my biggest goal for this year was to play more games in my collection, and that's exactly what I've been doing, and I've been having a blast. I love making these videos for you guys every week, sharing my thoughts and opinions on the games that I've been playing that week, and of course, I'd like to hear what your guys' thoughts and opinions are, so let me know what you guys think of these games that I shared with you guys today. If you guys have any suggestions on games you think I should play, please let me know. Always interested in checking out new game series I might not have heard of before. There's a lot of games in my collection I haven't got to play yet, so I'd like to hear suggestions from you guys. And if you guys have been playing any games this week, let me know what games you've been playing and your guys' thoughts on those. Like to interact with you guys, so as always, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts and opinions. We'll get started here. The first title's for Game Boy Advance, and I haven't played this game in a long time. It's been many years, actually, since I've played this one. And that was Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. And this is the very first game that started the Mario and Luigi RPG series that's still going on today. Such a fantastic game. Now, they have remade this on the 3DS, so you can get Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser Minions. So they added some extra mini games and content and stuff to the game, and the graphics have been updated. But it's still basically the same game. But I would recommend to try out the original game in the series because this is what started it all. It's actually one of my favorites in the series. Had a lot of fun with this. I've been playing it on my GameCube with my Game Boy player just because I like playing it on the large screen. Now, when I first played it, of course, I played it on my Game Boy Advance. Such a fantastic game. Basically, the story of this is there's this evil, I think her name is Clackatoo. She's from the Bean Bean Kingdom, and she steals the Princess Peach's voice. And your job as Mario and Luigi is to go to the Bean Bean Kingdom and retrieve her voice back from that evil Clackatoo. And you run into a nice variety of new enemies because since you're not in the Mushroom Kingdom, you're not dealing with your typical Goombas and Koopa Troopas, enemies, Piranha Plants, that kind of thing. You're in the Bean Bean Kingdom, so there's a lot of new enemies to battle in this. I'll just read, the back, give you a little description of it. An adventure so big you'll need both bros. Prepare for an epic journey beyond the borders of the Mushroom Kingdom as Mario and Luigi team up for a hilarious, action-filled role-playing game. The deep storyline and gripping puzzles of a role-playing game combine with awesome action elements to make this adventure a Mario experience like no other. So, really cool because it's a RPG, so it is turn-based. And you do have the world that you traverse. And unlike other games where you just have a random battle, you actually can see the enemies floating around. If they hit you, they get the first attack. But if you jump on them, you can damage them, and then you can have the advantage there. So you actually can see the enemy. So it's usually RPGs, you just walk around the main world, and then a random battle happens, and you're thrown right into battle. Where this one, you actually get to see the enemies, and you jump on them, and then it brings you into the battle. So it is turn-based, and you have two characters to choose from. You have Mario and Luigi. They both have a different button. Mario has A, Luigi has B. You guys can jump on enemies. Of course, you can get hammers and attack them with that. And it's really awesome is, they have timed attacks where if you hit the A button right before it hits the enemy, you can add extra damage to it. And then, of course, there's also where you can defend yourself. Like sometimes enemies will charge you. You can actually jump up and hit them when they try to hit you, and you can jump out of the way, and there's timing on that as well, which can also reduce damage you take. But it's a great game. It has a nice variety of different enemies to fight. It also has different bosses, and the story's really fun as well. Really enjoyed that. Bowser's in the game in the early parts, and there's a hilarious thing that happened to me. I don't really want to ruin the story, so I don't want to say too much about it. And there's a lot of stuff I don't remember just because it's been forever, and I only played this for about an hour this week. But man, it brought back a lot of great memories of playing this, and it's really fun. And I definitely think you guys should try it out, especially if you're a fan of RPG games and Mario. It combines two different things that are really awesome, especially after, if you've played the Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo. Like this was basically like a spiritual successor to that RPG series, and it's really fun. I definitely recommend this original one. Check it out and play it. Great game. Like I said, you can get it on the 3DS if you want to get the newer one. They did update the graphics and stuff, but I would suggest if you get a chance to try out the original one, see how the series started, because it is really fun. game. Has a lot of great elements. There's puzzle elements besides the RPG. You level up and get stronger as you earn points through your battles, and you have to solve puzzles and stuff. It has a lot of great, interesting characters, and I like the dialogue. It made me laugh with some other people in the game. Some of them can be annoying, and it feels satisfying when you beat them. But such a great game. I definitely recommend Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. Pick it up. Great title. Next up for the Nintendo 64, which I started getting back into playing games on the 64 because I haven't played a whole lot of them in the last year or two. And this was Mario Golf. So, fantastic game. I remember originally running this as a kid. And it's a fun game. You get to combine golf with Mario characters. And one of the things is you can actually play a match game where to unlock characters, you actually had to face them and beat them. So, like, if you were Mario or something, you wanted, let's say, you had to unlock Wario, you would have to face Wario in a game, 18 holes. And if you have the lower score, of course, you beat him in golf, then you unlock him. So that was one thing I really did like about the Mario Golf games, is all the characters weren't unlocked at the start. You had to actually, beat the characters to unlock them. So that's one thing, about these old games, is you actually had to work and you got rewarded for stuff. It's not like today where they just add the characters in DLC or they're all unlocked at the beginning after you pay money. You actually had to fight and unlock them. I used to love playing this with friends too as well. You could play, I think you could do this one up to 4 players. That's pretty sure. Yeah, you can play with 4 players. Had a great, you had 6 different courses, different kinds, like snow and deserty and like the typical green ones. Of course, it had the Mario themes in it. There's 10 different modes. The tournament, there's speed golf, there's the ring shot and mini games where you had to do trick shots and stuff. That's cool. I just played a match, the regular ones, because I've already unlocked all the characters, so they're still unlocked. Of course, I do playing Mario and Luigi, but Donkey Kong's in the game. You got your Wario and stuff. The Peach is in it, Yoshi, and of course, each character has different style to them. Power characters, they can hit the ball longer, or they're better at putting, that kind of thing. But if you're a fan of golf games and you haven't ever played the original Mario Golf game, I suggest you check it out because it's a fun game. It's really easy to control. It's not complicated like maybe one of those Lynx games on the computer where you have to get real involved and that kind of stuff. It's just a simple, anybody could play it, really fun game. I am really good though at this Mario Golf game, and I haven't played in years, but popping it in, I still did really well with it. A lot of fun with this game. Definitely recommend, though, the Mario Golf series. It has continued, in other consoles. And there hasn't been one for the Nintendo Switch yet. I don't think. I mean, there could be. I'd have to see if there is one. But, Mario Golf is a great series. And it was fun playing this one in the Nintendo 64. Definitely recommend checking out because you get to see the roots and what started the Mario Golf series. Such a fun game. Next up, another 64 game that I played with my buddy Grant, because we actually beat Super Donkey Kong 3 on the Super Famicom, which is Donkey Kong Country 3 here in the US. And so he actually never played this one, and that was Donkey Kong 64 from the Nintendo 64. Now, this was a really cool game. I always loved that DK rap that started at the very beginning of the game when you turn it on, have the DK rap and goes through the 5 Kongs in the game, which was really cool. Has a cool story, K. Rool's come back and he's kidnapped Donkey Kong's friend. So there's 4 Kongs to unlock. So you start out with Donkey Kong, but you also can free Diddy Kong, which is a long time Kong in the series. But then it added 3 new ones. There was the big Chunky Kong. It was a big ape, really cool, really strong, powerful dude. Then there's also this Lanky Kong. So he's like an orangutan, orange guy. That one was really fun. And then there's also a little girl which is named Tiny Kong. And every Kong, has their own weapons and their own specials and stuff. And the whole story is to collect, you're collecting bananas, stuff, and trying to save everybody and Donkey Kong Island from K. Rool because he wants to take it over, of course, like always. It was a fun game. We just played a little bit of it. Of course, since it's just a single player game. You know what I mean? There's a multiplayer mode where you can battle each other, but we want to go through the story mode, so we're taking turns between levels. And man, this was a nice little trip down memory lane because I have not played this one for a long time as well. My buddy Grant hadn't played it at all, and he wanted to check it out because he had people at his work telling him, you know, oh yeah, man, you should play Donkey Kong 64. You know, it's a fun game because it changes from a 2D game to a 3D world, and it is really fun. There's some great characters in the game. There's some awesome stages, nice variety. You know, you got lava stages, you got jungle stages, desert, beach things, machine levels. Like, it's really awesome, and it gets harder and harder, you know, as you get through the game. And there's secrets and stuff to uncover, but definitely recommend that you guys check out Donkey Kong 64. Such an amazing game. Absolutely love it. Definitely want you guys to try it out. And now the last game I've been playing is for the Famicom, and that is Destiny of an Emperor 2. Now this game was never released here in the US. Now we did get the original Destiny of an Emperor for the NES, and I absolutely loved that game and beat it. And I had been playing this on an emulator. There's a translated ROM out there. You know, some people that were kind enough to translate the game for everyone so you could play it. But, you know, one of the only other ways you could play it was on the computer, on, you know, an emulator. And I had actually been playing it on my Dreamcast. I had a buddy, friend of the YouTube channel here, actually had sent me a Dreamcast disc that had all the NES games that you could play on your Dreamcast, and one of the games on there was Destiny Emperor 2, which was awesome, and it was, you know, translated English, you could actually understand it. Well, I wanted to actually get a copy of this physical cartridge of this game for my collection, just to at least have it in there, and when I was searching on eBay, I actually found someone who had translated the ROM on the actual Famicom cartridge so you can play it in English. And I do have a Famicom, but I don't really like the cords on the controller and that because they come out the side and irritates my hand after a while. So, you know, I wanted to play on my NES, so I got a converter where you can play Famicom games on your NES, and I've been having an absolute blast this week because I've only had this game for about a week now, and I'm absolutely loving it. Put already several hours into this game. Now, this is a RPG, turn-based RPG game that takes place in China, and it's based off of the Romance of the Three Kingdom novel. So if you guys ever played Dynasty Warriors, you know, you'll know some of these characters. So you play as Liu Bei, you have his brothers Zhang Fei and Guan Yu, and you guys are facing Cao Cao, or Cao Cao, if you want to, you know, however you want to say his name. He's the main enemy in the game that you're battling, and this starts after the fall of Dong Zhuo, and starts out where you're facing Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu, and then, you know, the story just progresses from there. But it's a really fun game. Definitely would recommend if you like RPG games. You know, the graphics are pretty good, especially for, you know, an NES game. This came out in '91. I do like the story. You know, it has some interesting characters. You know, I've always been a big fan of the Dynasty Warrior games, so it's really cool, you know, playing as Liu Bei and Zhang Fei and Guan Yu and characters like that, Zhang Liao. You know, there's a lot of great characters you'll see throughout the story. You know, it's a really long game. You know, you could play this for many hours. You know, you traverse the map of China. You get into random battles where you'll fight pirates, you'll fight thieves and stuff. And then, of course, there's the story battles and stuff where you'll fight the different warlords in the game who will be stronger. You know, there's a lot of different weapons you can get for the character, especially compared to the first one. Like, everybody there just kind of used swords. This one, you had guys with bows. They got spears. Of course, you know, you have your swords and stuff. You know, you earn money and experience through battles, so you level up and get stronger. But you can use that money that you earn to buy better gear. You know, you can buy better equipment to make your enemy, to make it easier to fight enemies. You know, you make your defense up, your strength up, with different pieces of armor and the stuff you can equip. There's gold and stuff. There's also secrets in the game. You can recruit characters throughout the story. I think there's like 20 or 30 some characters in this one that you can equip, or you can, you know, recruit for your army. In the first game you had like 100, but the difference between this one is these ones, the guys actually level up with you, where in the very first Destiny Emperor, you know, only the main characters updated their powers. They got stronger and stuff. And one thing, when you play it is that, traditionally, characters have a health bar. So instead of having a health bar, you actually have a troop bar, which is basically your health bar, which is how many troops you start out with. Let's say you have like 600 troops. So when you're facing enemies, you're defeating that guy and you're beating his army, and that's what the health bars are. They're actually troop levels. So I thought that was kind of clever and kind of interesting. But this was a really fun game. Definitely recommend checking out Destiny of an Emperor 1 and Destiny of Emperor 2. So if you want to get this, more than likely you'll have to get the emulator and play the translated ROM. It would probably be the easiest way, unless you want to find a English translated copy of the game. Now there are some ones in NES shells that are from China. Don't know how well those would work, and these can get kind of expensive because this was $45 for the cartridge, but it was a fantastic game. One of my favorites on the NES, so I just wanted to actually get a physical copy, and I loved that I was able to find a actual Famicom copy that was English translated. So such an awesome game. Alright guys, so those are the games I've been playing this week. Of course, do a quick recap. First game that I shared with you guys was Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga for the Game Boy Advance. This is a turn-based RPG adventure game starring Mario and Luigi. Has a lot of great, interesting characters. Storyline is really fun. Controls really well. Definitely check it out. It's the first one that started this series, and it's worth you guys playing. I also shared Mario Golf with you, which, it's a golf game, but it's with Mario, and it's really fun because, you actually get to unlock characters if you beat them in a game, one-on-one, instead of having them all unlocked. And it's not like today's games where you have to pay money to unlock them. You actually got to work for it, and you earn stuff, and it feels good beating them and unlocking. So definitely check out Mario Golf. Great game. I also shared about Donkey Kong 64, which is a departure from the Donkey Kong Country series, which is a 2D, platformer to a 3D platforming game. Really good game for the 64. Highly recommend. Check out Donkey Kong 64 if you've never played it before, because it's really fun. And you have 5 different Kongs to choose from, and the story is really cool. And you still get to face K. Rool, which is a cool enemy. One guy, and one of the bosses and enemies I've always liked. Really cool game. Definitely check that out. And Destiny of an Emperor 2, sequel to Destiny of an Emperor that was only released on the Famicom in Japan. But of course, the best way to play would be to get the translated ROM and play it on an emulator on your computer or EverDrive or something. Such a fantastic turn-based RPG game set in feudal China during the the Romance of Three Kingdoms novel, based with Liu Bei and the Cao Cao and Yuan Shao and all of them characters. So if you like the Dynasty Warrior games, definitely play this. Basically a Dynasty Warriors RPG. Great game. Alright guys, I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts, of course. Let me know if you guys have played any of those games. And if you guys have any suggestions on games you think I should check out, let me know. I want to thank you guys for watching. Take care. Have a wonderful day. And Sleepy will see you guys next time.